Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar called The Rise of Platform Engineering. We're excited to have you all here with us today. We have a great panel to discuss how platform engineering has been on the rise the last few years, how it's been critical within many organizations' development practices, and how the discipline has evolved, how it can be successful, what are shortcomings, and things you should be thinking about as you're integrating and scaling a platform team. With me today, I have Adam and Siddhant. Why don't you guys give a quick introduction about yourselves?
I'll go first because you said me first.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm Adam Shott. I'm the director of engineering within a couple of product platform groups at the New York Times. So the app platforms group, which is focused on centralization within the mobile app domain across our numerous mobile apps, as well as the web platforms group, which is focused on centralization through the web domain at the New York Times.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Siddhant Soni. I'm a staff software engineer at Rippling. I'm part of the UI platform team, and I manage the mobile platform infrastructure here at Rippling. So we basically manage all the platform for all the mobile apps at Rippling. We manage the infrastructure aspect of it, delivery, deployments, CI/CD. We also manage the developer experience, the design system of the mobile platform. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and hopeful to have some exciting conversations.
Awesome. Well, for any of you guys who have joined any of our previous webinars, our goal here is to have a great panel discussion where you guys can get insights from Adam and Siddhant on their experiences, their expertise. So feel free to populate the chat with questions. We want this to be a very engaging, interactive session, but we'll get it started with something just plain and simple, right? So, platform engineering can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different organizations, right? So, Adam and Siddhant, I'd love you guys to walk me through what are the underlying goals of platform engineering for you guys and within your organizations?
Sure. So at the Times, which is a unique set of problems, I think we'll just focus on mobile today since we're Bitrise, we have five, depending on how you count, we have anywhere between 5 and 9 different mobile apps that share a lot of similar technical challenges, but they're all implemented in very, very different ways. And we feel like our platform team exists to reduce a lot of the redundancy and build a ton of developer efficiency to allow product teams to really focus on what we think of as differentiated value. So things that cooking developers are working on that's unique to cooking, we want them to be able to focus on that entirely and remove a lot of the cognitive burden of some of the shared responsibilities. And so we think about our platforms in a couple of different dimensions. So one is what we call workflow. You might think of it as DevOps, which is a lot of the traditional centralization opportunities, CI, CD, a lot of automation, observability, tooling that connects to Slack bots, and anything that basically goes from the minute you ship code to GitHub to deploying in production and engaging with stakeholders and observing that production. The second sort of dimension that we think about are building shared libraries around internal platforms. So we have a lot of internal services at the New York Times, whether that's analytics or our own authentication and subscription platforms, and privacy and A/B testing and all that fun stuff. And so our team builds the actual shared mobile library representations, and we feel like it's really important to centralize those teams so that we're building shared libraries in a consistent way with one technical strategy in a way that they're sort of aware of one another. I think other teams do it in different ways. And then the third pillar is what we call app architecture, which is there's a huge opportunity that we can unlock developer efficiency through building our apps more similar than they are today, whether that's more sharing, or doing things like navigation the same so that you share deep linking paradigms, or persistence and cache invalidation, similar sort of architectures. So we invest in that pillar as well to make sure that we are converging on a more uniform architecture so that we can be more dynamic. Engineers can work across the different apps more effectively. We can share more code and lift up everyone based on innovation that's happening in one particular product. So that's how we think about it.
Yeah, I think That's a really great perspective because I feel like platform engineering is very much tailored to the organization that you're a part of, which means that they basically come in and build a platform to solve problems that are very custom and very specific to your particular organization. So some of the points that Adam made really make sense. But at Rippling, we look at platform engineering in a slightly different way. But yeah, a lot of common ground over there. So I think one of the biggest things that us as a platform team at Rippling focus on is definitely having a good infrastructure around the whole mobile platform, where we just make sure that we have a very resilient CI/CD pipeline for the mobile engineers. We focus a lot on having a very good feedback loop where whenever a developer is raising a PR, we make sure that there is a really good feedback loop and they're getting a really good report out of why their CI success was a success or was a failure. We send them Slack DMs so that they know that, hey, okay, my CI has now, is failed or successful. I can go and check it out, that what's happening there. We have a really good CD pipeline, which basically makes sure that as soon as we merge our code, we just don't need any manual interference, and it just automates each and every step until app submission to the app store. So we try to remove human intervention because humans cause errors, and everybody knows that. So as much as you can automate, it just makes your life like really, really good, and your work-life balance improves, your quality of developer experience improves. So yeah, infrastructure is one aspect of it. We definitely focus on observability, which is like production observability, how the app is performing, where are those errors that are bugging us, and where is those all of the areas where we are facing issues, maybe frame drops, stutters. These are the things that we want to observe when we do that. We focus on performance of the app as well, where we want to make sure that app start times are really good, and we want to measure them in real time, which means that we measure them on production devices and make sure we track all that data. And we try to make sure that, with every release that we do, we don't make those stats worse. So we have those checks in place so that before release, we do a performance analysis and we try to make sure that, we are not just, we're improving the user experience and not, making it bad. We focus on developer experience as well a lot. I think we recently came up with a CLI, which just helps you set up your own machine for mobile development, which means that there's a CLI and it will just handle everything for you. So if you're a new developer, you want to onboard to mobile engineering, right? You want to onboard to all the tools you need. So mobile engineering is actually like you need a lot of things on your machine to be able to actually run it. The setup just can take a week. So we've been able to reduce it to a few hours by just running a few commands. It downloads everything, Xcode, Android Studio, all the SDKs, simulators, everything. Just we set it up for the developer so that they can just focus on writing code. So that is, I think, one of the biggest business use cases you can say that the platform team has. So yeah, so a lot of other things, but yeah, these are some of the really important. We also have a design system library. I think, as Adam said, it's a shared component library that we maintain and we make, and basically whatever kind of features product developers want to make, they'll 99% of the time they'll find those components in this library and they can just pick it up and compose their page and create a UI out of it. So yeah, we are here to make developers' lives easier. We are here to help people ship good features, high quality features fast, which is really hard. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I think the most important thing to keep in mind, right, just with a lot of things in life, right, there's not a one size fits all approach, right? You have to maintain some flexibility. You have to maintain a sense of discomfort, right? As you figure it out, you have to give not only the best product experience, but the best human experience too, right, for your teams. And Benjamin kind of has a good question that I think transitions into our next topic, where we want to talk about the best approach to platform engineering. But Benjamin's asking, like, seems like a lot of responsibilities you guys just kind of named off. How do you measure your efficiency, right? How do you maintain your sanity? How do you make sure you're working on the right things? And I think that trickles into how to best approach the platform engineering function.
Well, there's a lot to that question too. A lot of responsibilities in answering that question. I would say, let's see. I think that it would be very, very easy to do platform engineering in a complete abstract bubble. It's really, really easy to focus on technical problems that feel appropriate to solve as engineers. And like, we think that we need to make this technical investment because it's the right thing to do technically. And that, it might be true, that's the case. And you can also use very like engineering metrics to do that, like how long does it take to compile the app and things like that. What I have evolved to lately, though, is really measuring what our stakeholder teams care about. So like we really need to tether our wagon for success to what our stakeholders are trying to do to measure their success. And so the more that you can get closer to the actual business impact for your KPIs, I think the better. So I'll give you an example. We spend a lot of time with like a lot of different performance metrics. At the end of the day, though, the thing the business cares about are care reports or app store reviews or things along those lines. And so while those like those metrics around like hang rate and things like that, which feel really, really important, are a good signal, are important, it's more important to focus on what the actual business need is as far as success is. And so some of the things that we have found are deployment time. I know that that's a pretty standard one, but what we mean is how frequently we can actually release our apps. We went on this journey across our different apps. From some apps were releasing every 2 weeks, some apps were releasing like every month or two to weekly releases, and we really think that's sort of just the start. I think if you look at the what platforms can even do now, it used to be that you couldn't ship except for maybe every 2 weeks because of adoption rates and app store reviews and all that fun stuff. The barriers to entry there are really, really low now. We feel like we're really close to being able to deliver value kind of near continuously. And so one of the ways that we're measuring success is how quickly can we turn around all of the operations that are involved in shipping our new features to our users, and getting that down to a really small number. So right now it's weekly across our different apps. We're going to go probably further than that soon. So again, I would say there's a lot of different metrics to pay attention to, but from my perspective, the closer you can get to your customers' needs and the way that your business is actually measuring success, I think the better.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Adam here, because the point that Adam you raised, the deployment time, this is actually something that we were really recently working on. So basically, definitely a very important KPI to keep in mind. So what happens is that when you are in a slump, right, there's an incident, a platform, a production level incident has happened, and you want to get it fixed as soon as possible, right? That is when, these are those clutch moments where your infrastructure comes in to bail you out, where when the developer is ready with his fix, but you want to ship it as soon as possible. So I think for Rippling specifically, we decided to go with React Native as a technology to build our apps. One of the key use case was that we will be able to do over the air bug fixes, and we'll be able to do it really fast, and the adoption rate for these bug fixes will be universal. Like, everybody will get these OTA updates within seconds to the users. So being able to deploy this really fast and being able to basically time from feature to production, fix to production, I think that really starts mattering when your business is actually at risk. The app is crashing, things are not working out. Fix it fast. So I think definitely deployment time becomes a really important aspect. I think another KPI that we measure our success on is also sort of we basically try to make sure that our master branches, or our repos, are always in a green state, which means that we try to make sure that our CI breaks as little as possible on the main branch. This basically makes sure that we are able to deploy production at any given point. So this is something that we call as CI health check, and this is another KPI that we measure, and we try to make sure that we don't have any flakiness in our pipelines, and tests pass most of the time. And if there is any flakiness, we need to we double down on it. We try to investigate and make sure that this flakiness does not hamper our day-to-day working of the developers. Yeah, I think another KPI that we measure. Yeah, these are some of the things we do, apart from the performance metrics that are obviously very important. So yeah, so those are self-explanatory, I feel.
Very cool. And So, what would you guys say? Like, how do you kind of, you take that approach of measurement, right, and align to business metrics and KPIs. So then, how do you kind of like seamlessly integrate platform engineering into your organizations? How does it become part of your organization's DNA, right? Because it's such a critical function to how your organization delivers product, right? At the end of the day, that's what we're all doing. So, how do you best create that organizational culture and function?
I mean, I think culture is for a platform engineering team to be successful, there has to be 100% buy-in, or not 100%, but a really high degree of buy-in from the organization, and everybody needs to be aligned on this is how we do work. Because I think that the opposite case where there's not a lot of alignment, there's not a lot of buy-in, platform teams are making big investments, and adoption might not be there, or there's a disconnect between getting feedback from stakeholders, getting the business needs sort of articulated in such a way that you know how to make the right technical investments to serve their needs. And so alignment, community, there has to be a ton of trust to do it well. I think product teams need to really trust that the platforms have their best needs in mind, or they're just not going to adopt, or they're not going to use the tools, or they're going to create a lot of friction. And so getting some buy-in and alignment is really, really critical. Part of the ways that you do that is you can encourage contributions. And you both from like an idea standpoint, like what are the things that you like to see out of a platform? What should we be focusing on? What solution should we be pushing forward? To like right down to enabling your stakeholders to contribute to the platform code if they want to. Those are the kinds of signals that create a really virtuous relationship between platform teams and product team customers. So for me, that's everything.
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely that is a very good point. And so basically at Rippling, we treat our developers as our customers, which means that are providing a service and these engineers become the customers for us who are going to develop their features on top of our platform. And one thing that I've realized is that engineers generally tend to be the most difficult customers that you can have because these guys like to tinker with your product. They like to find loopholes in your product, and they have a really high bar for that developer experience, and they want only the best. So yeah, it can definitely be challenging to adhere to all the requirements that these developers have. But yeah, I think one definite thing is that you need a big buy-in from your developers, because a lot of times what I've seen even in my previous organizations is that every time you talk about a platform team, people start thinking, "Hey, these guys are evil. They're gonna bring in standards, they're gonna bring in processes, and they're gonna make it harder for me to just merge my code, and they're gonna make my life hell." But that's actually not true. So you need to spread that kind of awareness that, hey guys, we are on the same team, right? And we're just making sure that your work-life balance is better, your quality of life is better. And to do that, there are certain set of steps that need to be followed, and there are certain sort of checks that we want, quality checks that we want to be fulfilled. So yeah, I think awareness and taking that buy-in from the developers really, really helps. So one thing that we do like that has really worked out relatively well for us is that we send out these surveys, quarterly surveys to all of our stakeholders and developer teams, and they are completely anonymous, and we try to make sure that they're able to rate our platform and different aspects of it on whatever scale they have. And at the end of the quarter, then we basically just dive into the results, and then we try to make sure that maybe next quarter we can work on this area which the developers are worried about, and maybe this area is working really well, so maybe we can take some inspiration from it and put it some other way. So yeah.
Just picking up on something you said, Siddhant, which I think is really, really critical, which is there's this anxiety if you're a product engineer that if you invest too much in a platform, or if you hand over too much control to the platform, there's going to be a lot of you're going to be sort of told what to do. You're not going to have a lot of freedom to deliver things the way that you feel like you need to as an engineer. And I think that's very, very real. And I think if platform engineering goes the wrong way at an organization, that's totally what's happening. It's very, very prescriptive. Maybe the platforms aren't sort of setting you free to focus on what's important. They're actually sort of constraining your ability to deliver unique value. And so as a platform team, you have to really, really take that seriously. You need to understand what are the pain points that are like preventing an engineering team, a product team, from doing what they need to do, versus what are the ways that you're trying to use the platform to sort of enforce a type of point of view. That's a real gotcha that you have to watch out for. And so again, we mentioned trust before. You get trust by listening to your customers, really understanding what their needs are, like echoing that back, and then building solutions that really meet those needs, not sort of prescribe any particular way of doing things if you can help it.
Yeah, that's true. I've generally remembered, I think the question had that, how do you like make sure that you are on the right path? So one common principle that has sort of helped me, be a successful platform engineer or, when shaping a platform is that I always feel like a platform should always nudge you in the right direction, which means that it should be very easy to do the right things, which means that if you're doing things right, the platform will just help you out and you'll just graze through and your code PRs will start getting merged and everything. And it should be really hard to do the wrong things, which means that when you start feeling that resistance from the platform, it's generally trying to nudge you in the right direction. So I know it's a philosophy, but it just helps me inspire, whenever I'm creating these tools.
And I think that's an important point, right? When something's being successful, it's a catalyst for success, right? Not an impediment, right? And it's something to reevaluate if it starts to become, counterproductive. It starts to become a barrier for success and, a barrier for organizational growth. And, how then do you like advocate to continue those practices, right? And I think we have a good question in the chat, right? Obviously, a little self-fulfilling because I think we all have some mobile love here. But what are our thoughts about advocating to a company to have a platform team for mobile? How can we show a company that this is needed? I think that kind of ties very well back to the point you just made, Siddhant, of like, again, proving a system for success and unlocking issues instead of creating more issues. So I'm curious to get your thoughts as, obviously you guys have a lot of involvement in mobile as well.
I think that there's like a platform team, and then there's a platform, and so maybe there's an order of operations wherein you're sort of advocating for investment in a proper platform as a first step. There's value in us doing some centralization and building developer tooling, and then you can figure out how to operationalize that through an actual team if you need to, or maybe there's a different way you can do it as an organization. But I think that one of the things that has been very, very obvious to us is just the amount of redundancy that engineering teams always spend their time doing. Is that, like, left to their own devices, if I had to ship product A and another team had to ship product B, you look at all of the different things that each of those teams are having to do in order to deliver that product. You circle the commonalities and say, how much time are any engineers spending doing these things? One, like, what's the level of effort of that? What's that preventing them from doing? Two, are these even the right people to be doing that? Sometimes you centralize not around technology, but around expertise too. So if everybody is having to onboard onto privacy legislation in order to actually conform to some sort of like European privacy changes, that's a lot of wasted value. Everybody has to onboard that. Everybody has to hold that in their heads. Whereas if you actually sort of centralize around context, you actually build tools to make it so that team A doesn't even have to think about privacy anymore because it's abstracted away in the platform, then there's a really obvious case, I think, to be made about the business value. So again, just like, what are the redundancies? What are the inefficiencies and the cost of those redundancies in an organization?
Yeah, I think that's true. And one very good indicator that you need a platform team and a resilient platform is is one heartbeat that I try to use is always having to know that with the number of incidents that you're having in production, right? If your life is hell and every day something or the other is breaking, means that there's definitely a process that needs to be put in place, right? And then there definitely needs to be some quality checks and an infrastructure that needs to be in place in order for you to be able to run a smooth ship. And incidents on production have direct impact on business, right? So that it becomes a really easy way to just pitch that, hey, we need a resilient platform to be able to just run smoothly. So that is one thing. And I feel like a lot of companies who have been startups for like maybe 5 years from now, and it was fine then to not have a platform team, because then you were just focused on shipping stuff, right? You're just shipping, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting into the business, you're getting a product out there, and it's fine, it works. But once your organization starts scaling, once your product gets adopted and your team start growing, and suddenly you're from 5 to 50 engineers who are working on the same code base, how the hell do you manage that, right? Like it's bonkers if you don't have a platform team set up that you'll be able to like collaborate. 50 people won't be able to collaborate on one repo if you just don't have a platform in place. So I think that is one second very valid argument that you can pitch to your leadership, to your organization, and tell them that, hey, business hours of an engineer are equally worth, as much as companies have started investing in engineers. If engineers are just wasting their time fighting incidents, wasting their time fighting these random bugs and these merge conflicts, I mean, having a platform will just be a very, very cost effective thing to have.
No, I love it. And I think that was very well put. And I think it kind of transitions, into another point we want to touch upon. But how do we best design and build a platform team, right? We've now pitched it to our organization. Let's say we got organizational buy-in. How we get started, how we build and design that team up and scale it and build that success.
Well, I think you sort of need to have some technical strategy or a business strategy for driving the investment. So what are we trying to accomplish? What are the high level goals? What is the end state that we're working towards as a first step? But then I think there's a lot of different, depending on the different problems that you're trying to solve, you want to take a look at a couple of things. You want to take a look at how much value is there, sort of what I was mentioning before about context. Like, do we need subject matter experts in authentication in this particular case, or do we have a certain set of skills where certain engineers are really, really good at building CI systems or doing a lot of automation? And then depending on sort of the needs that you're trying to solve for, you draw circles in different ways. But one of the most critical pieces that you need to do is really figure out who your stakeholders are, figure out what your engagement model is with those stakeholders, so that you're getting continuous feedback, you're gut checking, you're incrementally delivering value, rather than saying, hey, let's make this huge investment. The ROI is not going to land for another 3 years, which is really a challenge for any engineering organization. And they'll do it. It's really challenging for any business to make that kind of investment.
I think, I have my 2 cents on the topic is that I think you always need to start small. And then once you see something that's working and something that starts working well, you can get the buy-in from the leadership to grow your team. You can get the buy-in from the developers to say that, hey, yeah, this is something that we need to invest in, and maybe we should hire more people to handle this kind of a system. I think one example that I have faced at Rippling is that when I joined, I was a foundational engineer here, and there was basically a very basic level of CI setup, which was running a few quality checks on PRs. But since we were running these on GitHub machines, they were not really scalable. Large GitHub runners had not been introduced yet, and we didn't really have a way to smoothly run tests, for every PR, end-to-end tests, detox tests, stuff like that. And it's not a straightforward solution. You need to go in the market, you need to see what cloud solutions help you. But meanwhile, how do we make sure that things are still running smoothly? Because every time, people are continuously, investing and continuously adding code to your code base, and it's just a ticking bomb waiting to blow, right? It could blow up in production somewhere, and we won't know where, right? So what we ended up doing was that I didn't have the platform team was not really big. There was just 2 people, and what I ended up doing was I just stuffed 6 MacBooks in a meeting room. I connected them all together, and I just started running on a detox test on simulators and emulators on top of it. And I was like, sure, okay, fine. I know this is not scalable, right? But it's something. Right? And the day I introduced that, you would think that, hey, this cannot last a month. This cannot last, right? This is not scalable. But that system actually put us through for a whole 6 months where we had a really smooth sailing release process because we were able to run all of those tests on those MacBooks. And people were happy that, hey, we are able to catch bugs before they're making into production. So that gave us a buy-in to actually pursue a good cloud investment and have a good cloud, system like Bitrise to scale the system and run our tests on it. So yeah, so like there can be times where you have to be a little creative with it. You have to show a little bit of resilience and you show that grit, and then people will take notice. So yeah, it's a little bit of an inspirational anecdote for you guys.
Awesome. Well, I know we're going to start running out of time, and I have 2 points I want us to get to, and then get to some of the awesome questions in chat. And chat, just so you guys know, if we don't get to your question directly here, we can follow up via email, and we'll also, create some blogs around some of your questions here, so your questions will get answered. I think we've talked a lot about the positives, and I don't think I would be doing my job well if I didn't, bring some spice to this. So, obviously, platform engineering could go great, it could do a lot of things well, but what can platform engineering do wrong, right? What are some of the pitfalls, and what do you want to avoid, and what are just kind of some of those blooper reels that can happen?
Not sure how funny they are, but no. So I've been in organizations in the past where the platform team is it's like gatekeeping, it's a bottleneck, it's hierarchical. You are given sort of ways of doing things in a certain way that you don't have a lot of insight into, and you don't have a ton of say in evolving things. I think that is a huge pitfall from a cultural perspective, from making sure that we're actually getting the best feedback and the best ideas on the table when we're making technical decisions. I think that is a real challenge. I think building the wrong things because you're not focused on your stakeholders is another one. Sometimes these are big investments. You can absolutely not be focused on the right things and take a big swing at something that doesn't work out. Everybody does that, but there's definitely ways that you can set yourself up to do that more frequently if you're not listening to your stakeholders, if you're not focusing on the business, or you're just focusing on technical need. And yeah, you can create some real cultural bottlenecks. The other thing is I've seen platform teams swallow a ton of problem spaces because we can build it out the first time. We're going to build out something new this half. We're going to build out something new next half. Suddenly you have 20, 30 different pieces of tools that you need to maintain, and you might not have the resources to do that well. And that's when you start to see platform teams become a bottleneck. So you need to make sure that when you invest in something, when you're building something that's being used, that you actually can commit to maintaining it, evolving it, and fixing it when it goes wrong.
Oh yeah. I think that's a great point. I think one very important thing that I have come to learn the hard way is that you platform teams, I don't know, at least me, I can talk about myself. I tend to lean towards over engineering. That means that you just want to make your platform the best platform in the world. You want to make it so sophisticated, it can handle everything. And then you lose sight of the business need, and you lose sight of, hey, do we even need this? If there's a team of 10 people who are, actually contributing to this platform, to this code base, maybe we don't need to have parallelization of tests. Maybe we don't need to have those, sophisticated and those really cool things in the platform, because what you need to do is you need to be able to make the devs' lives easier. And that should be one of the pillars, not the only pillar, one of the pillars to. So this is one perspective to look at it, that we should always stay away from over engineering and over solving problems that may not even be there. So you need to be careful with that. And definitely the maintenance point is another thing that I've learned the hard way, where you can create these sophisticated softwares, these sophisticated tools for your teams, and then a quarter later you realize that you have 20 bugs in each and every system. And then and then instead of being able to, developers being able to, take benefit from the platform, they're actually stuck in these bugs, and they're coming to you, you're busy solving those bugs, and then you just don't make progress. So definitely you need to have you have a balanced approach. Discuss it with the developers, discuss it with your leadership. Always have that communication feedback going, whether things are making sense or not. So yeah, definitely a great point.
Awesome. Well, I have one more point I want us to get to, and then I want to, get to a few of the questions in chat, and then we'll wrap it up. But, I think a good way to, kind of wrap up this conversation is, you guys have a wealth of experience and wealth of knowledge. What do you see the future of platform engineering being like? Where does it go from where it is today, and what's that next like kind of exciting evolution that you think is going to come for platform engineering?
I would say that I think we always have to be a little skeptical that it's even a thing in 5 years. This is actually something that we need. I think that the evolution of platform engineering is such that it didn't come out of the blue. It's not a really unique thing. It's an organizational structure around some principles that have been around for a long time. Like even drive principles are kind of folded into platform engineering, but DevOps, it sort of inherits from all of these things. And so will it look the same 5 years from now? I don't have a high degree of confidence in that. I think the pendulum swings reaction over reaction in a lot of different ways. But I would say that as the complexities of shipping and technical products increases, and I think that's going to continue to be the case, you need entities that are being strategic, that are making technical investments and helping, as Siddhant said, was like helping hard things be easy and make things easy to do the right thing. I think that won't go away. Will it be a team that does that? I don't know. Apple and Google and whatever other platforms you're using to build your tools could be making amazing investments that solve all these problems tomorrow. I suspect not, but that could happen. And so it's hard to say beyond. I think these are important problems to solve, and we're always having to be questioning the value of them for a healthy organization.
Yeah, I think I agree. You always need to question whether you need it. You don't build a team for the sake of building it. But from my perspective, I see that there's definitely a bright future, so to speak, of platform engineering, because as like human civilization is advancing and you see software around you, meaning like it's literally software started supporting everything from infrastructure, from your day-to-day life, from your games, which are trivial, but to also life-changing events. So like basically, I think we are heading towards a world where software supports life on Earth, so to speak. So when when your things are getting so complex, you have AI, you have so many tools that basically are running your life. You will definitely need platforms to manage these complex systems. And when half the world starts working on software, and you have a billion people interacting, contributing to code bases, I think there is definitely going to be always a need of platform engineering. I mean, we may start calling it something else. We used to call it DevOps. We used to call it site reliability engineers. We're now calling it platform engineering. Maybe we'll call it something else. But I'm sure that it's something that's always going to be there in the shadows, supporting the real rock stars who are making great features. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love that we got to most of our points. I want to spend the last 2 minutes just getting to a couple of questions in the chat. How do you define roadmaps for the platform team? Is it a collaborative process with product feature teams, or how have you guys approached that?
I think you have to have absolutely collaboration for starters. Again, you need to solve real needs. I think that you also need to carve out time in your roadmap to make longer term bets that you believe in. And so I think that, you have to strike a balance between making sure that your stakeholders are getting what they need in the short term, understanding what problems they're trying to solve, while also making sure that you are very, very clear on what your strategic vision is and paying into that over time as well. So there's a real balance to strike for sure.
Yeah, I think very similar. So basically, what we try to do is just hedge our bandwidth, and we always keep some bandwidth for for the actual you can say feature requests that always keep coming from developers. Hey, we want something like this. Hey, we want something like this. We list it up, and then we see if they really are gonna have a good impact. We pick them up. We always have hedge some time for support, because platform teams need to support the platform, and there will always be bugs in the platform. So you need to be able to proactively make your platform better, and basically tend to the tech debts and tend to those code quality things that we need to do. And definitely one very important aspect is having long bets, as Adam said. Like you can't have a tunnel vision. You need to have a long-term view of how you see the platform in maybe a year from now. And you basically talk to your leaders and look at what they are planning to do in the next 1 year. Is your engineering team going to be 3x in 1 year? You definitely need to take long bets then. And if you feel like you're a lean startup, you're not gonna hire a bunch of engineers, but you're gonna maybe launch 3, 4 new products. Then if you're gonna do that, then you need to have long bets, which are streamlined to that. So definitely, it's a great discussion to have, and yeah, you need to hedge your bandwidth.
Awesome. All right, last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. What do you guys think about tools that are trying to provide the platform for developer orgs? Do they help your role or do they hinder it?
I think, are we talking about sort of like very, very opinionated frameworks? Is that sort of what we're talking about?
I think that's what Donna was looking for, I believe.
You should be open to them. I think if they solve your business need, but I think that one of the challenges of over-investing in sort of outsourcing some of these foundational pieces of tech are that your business might diverge from their roadmap. They might not be incentivized in the same ways. And so I've definitely had conversations with third-party partners where they're like, well, listen, that's just not where our product is evolving. They might be really important needs for you, but that's not necessarily the right thing for our business. So you have to be careful. I think it could be great, especially if you have a certain scale. If you're a small organization, don't be afraid of those things. They can be a real helpful thing. One of the hardest things is like committing to and maintaining things. And so if you have a third party that says they're going to do it, great. Yeah, sorry, Siddhant.
Yeah. I think one way that I look at it is that if something is mission critical to you, right, and you're looking for a third party tool to basically accomplish it, that is sort of like a dangerous area that you're in. I mean, yeah, as Adam said, if you're a new startup, you're starting off, it always helps to have onboard these tools and start using these tools to just drive your business, drive your product. But uh, basically, you need to keep evaluating where is this tool really becoming mission critical for my business or for my platform. And if that's happening, then it was basically makes sense to start investing in having maybe an in-house solution that can replace that third party thing, and you basically phase it out and start bringing your in-house solution to replace it. Because if it is so mission critical to you, you should be developing it, you should be maintaining it. But there are also pitfalls where there are small things that you just need to work, and if you use an engineer to basically spend time on it, and it may not be cost effective, it may not be time effective, and if a tool solves it, then yeah, go ahead, use that tool. Maybe it'll inspire you to create a custom in-house solution in the future if you feel like it's really becoming very sensitive to your company.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up, guys. These 45 minutes kind of flew by on us, and that's always a good sign of a great conversation. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us today. I want to thank Adam and Siddhant for their time. We always love putting these on for you guys in the community, and the engagement always makes it worth it. If you guys have any questions for Siddhant and Adam, feel free to reach out to us at Bitrise, and we will feel free to get the questions answered through them, and we're going to pull up with some blogs and recordings, so please be on the lookout for that. And again, hope you guys all have a great day and really enjoyed spending this time with all of you.
It was a pleasure being here, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone.